In 5 years, we have come together in a way few thought possible. In 2016, we embarked on a journey, and the message from our churches was clear. Churches felt isolated and disconnected from the bishop. As he visited them, he heard the same burning question: are you going to close our church? Now, in the 6th year of our journey together, the diocese is in a very different place. We have joined together to ensure all voices are heard and have made a mutual commitment to mission, supporting our churches, and addressing poverty. To ensure transparency and accountability, we have made the budget and supporting financial information readily available on our website. We have made the budget fully inclusive of all expenses, bringing the expenses for retired clergy medical assistants and clergy financial assistance onto the budget. In order to bring clarity, the gifts for mission, our pledges, and gifts for support, the Episcopate Assessment, RCMA, and CFA, appear together on the budget. And we have begun to frame the ask for churches in a single ask. Yet even as we increased our commitment to serving our churches, we did not increase the ask for our churches. With the exception of a $100,000 increase in the 2020 budget, our diocese has not had an increase in requested giving. By inverting the pyramid and creating a financial safety net for our churches, we have greatly reduced the collective anxiety that once existed around requests for supporting the budget that were perceived by many as opaque or even capricious. The resulting sense of stability and interconnectedness has allowed us to move forward as one people, one diocese. We did all of this by putting your diocesan staff to work for you. The bishop and the staff of the offices of the diocese spend 80% of their time with our churches, consulting, leading vestry retreats, recruiting new clergy, developing leadership, providing administrative support, helping train lay leaders, designing continuing education, and providing support in both joyful and difficult circumstances. Everyone on your diocesan staff is answering a call to ministry and is committed to timely and responsive service. We did all of this by recasting our priorities in the budget. We reduced our expenses in operating and the carrying costs of property by selling real estate that lacked potential for reuse and moving our offices to diocesan center. We were creative in exploring new models for diocesan vicars while strengthening the churches they serve. This reorganization allowed us to increase support for all our churches and their ministries and to meet our obligation to the Episcopal Church, something we had significantly underpaid on for nearly 2 decades. We did all of this without reducing the principle of the endowment, which, thanks to the prudent management of Church Foundation, has grown. Since 2016, though we wisely invested $24.6 million in our churches and their ministries from out of the endowment's principal has grown $24.4 million, with endowment assets totaling more than $88 million at the end of the second quarter in 2021. We did all of this while reopening 3 churches, starting new ministries, making use of new tools such as demographic and statistical research, funding capital improvement grants, restoring relationships with TEC. We developed covenant relationships with dioceses around the world. We provided technology grants, emergency aid grants, and ensured the stability for all churches by creating a backstop to fund the sacred giving of any church that was unable to meet their goal. Throughout the pandemic, we supported one another. We held the expense lines in our 2021 budget to 2020 levels and did not increase the sacred gift ask. Proactively, we reduced the 2020 budget. The bishop, your diocesan staff, and the board of trustees worked together to provide $1.2 million for grants for emergency aid, issued guidance on participating in the Paycheck Protection Program, and determined that our churches would not have to claim those grants on parochial reports. We provided $250,000 in technology grants. We created a diocesan media center to train our churches in using their new equipment, and we provided a financial backstop of $800,000 for the stability of our churches in 2021. The bishop provided weekly Eucharists, broadcast online and in CBS in order to help our churches and clergy make that transition. We maintained weekly contact with health officials, elected officials, faith leaders from many traditions on federal, state, and local levels, and made extensive increases to our communications on all levels. We developed the Loving Presence Report and secured the help of KI ThoughtBridge to consult its implementation. We provided vaccines for all of our clergy and essential staff at churches, and then opened 4 vaccine sites around the diocese. We did not stop our outreach to the community. We developed services for veterans, youth, suicide prevention, mental health resources for clergy, youth, and laity, and provided addiction and recovery resources. Using the best information at our disposal, we guided our churches through online worship during restrictions and then safely back to in-person worship. The pandemic was an unprecedented challenge, but even though this was completely unfamiliar territory, we were proactive rather than reactive. We published our new annual report, increased our communication and connection with each other, and found the way to meet needs while strengthening outreach and ministry. By providing stability, support, and clear, constant communication, we came through it stronger. We came through it closer to one another. We came through it with a deeper faith in Jesus Christ. We refuse to settle for a maintenance mindset and cannot do so as we move forward. We are still looking forward, innovating, and leading, and the 2022 proposed budget is a seminal budget in the life of the diocese. We have done the hard work together over the last 5 years, and we are growing stronger. Our diocese has been recognized by the Archbishop of Canterbury, and other dioceses are coming to see what we are doing. Around the church, leaders are being sent to learn about our diocese and discover how they might model their ministries. The 2022 budget proposes technology funding that will provide free resources to help our churches with technology, live streaming, and training up new digital ministries. It proposes further funding of Hispanic ministries, the fastest growing demographic. Funding to ensure the ongoing work of the Loving Presence Report in our diocese is supported. Funding for new diocesan council grant programs for outreach and poverty initiatives. Funding to provide grants to churches for innovation and creativity. Funding for church planting. Funding to invest further in veterans ministry. Partnerships around the Anglican Communion and program grants to our churches. Funding to support Servium, an online education and resource platform, a full learning management system that serves every person in the diocese, which will launch fully in 2022. Like the 2020 budget, this budget offers clarity in giving through a single ask and reminds us of what can be accomplished as we strive to meet our giving goals. For this year, the single ask remains conceptual. This is important because our diocesan canons have not changed, nor has the process of determining projected revenue from investments, assessments, and pledges. We are still following the canons. When we speak of a single ask, what we have done is combine the church's assessments and pledge into a single number that represents a percentage of the church's normal operating income. Like the 2021 budget, the proposed 2022 budget makes no request for an increase. Additionally, the proposed 2022 budget, like the 2021 budget, asks churches to prayerfully support our mutual ministry by giving at the same rate they did last year. This means that the budget is balanced by setting the spend rate on our endowment draw to 6.35%. We are able to go out into the world outside by strengthening inward. This budget provides the resources to help our churches do God's work in the world. We will make sure they have the tools to do so that they can go out and make a difference in the world in the name of Jesus Christ.